Oh, it scared me.
Please, come in. Hello.
Hello. He's a stranger. We're just gonna let him sleep in our house. Hello. Did you know he had a wife? I want to thank you for your hospitality. He has pictures of you in his luggage.
What were you doing in their luggage?
You really love him. God help you.
Quiet!
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Grapevine Movie Reviews, where we only review movies that we haven't seen. If you haven't been with us before, the basic conceit of these podcasts is a bunch of us see a movie, one of us doesn't. We all get together, we talk about the movie. The person that hasn't seen it, they decide, based on the discussion that we have about it, whether or not they want to go see it and how fast they're going to go check it out. This week, I'm joined by...
Michael.
Mariana.
Yo, Andrew. Yosh.
And I'm Matt. And this week we're doing a movie, the latest Darren Aronofsky film, Mother!
Exclamation mark.
Exclamation mark.
Exclamation mark.
Lowercase m. Explanation.
Lowercase exclamation mark.
Yeah. So for this movie, Andy is the one that hasn't gotten to see it. But we need to give him we need to catch him up to speed on basically
Why not, Andy?
You need to catch him up to speed on what the movie's basically about. So let's go to Yash for that.
Alright, I'm gonna
brief
tell
synopsis.
you what I think it's about.
A brief synopsis. Don't get into spoilers.
Alright.
Just a synopsis.
Bare bones. This is a very simplistic story. It's about an artist who has a he suffered writer's block. He can't. I think he's a poet and he can't write his next poem. But this movie is told from the point of view of his muse, which is Jennifer Lawrence's character, who's a much younger wife, I think, wife or girlfriend, like a partner. And it's just their life and what fame does to them. And that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Well, and then and then they start getting visitors, and then those visitors start getting
What
visitors.
fame does to them, yeah.
And yeah.
Okay. So, Andy, I guess you're going to take
That's
the
the
lead
very-
on this. Yeah. You can use this conversation wherever you need to go.
All right. Well, I have seen the trailers, so which I don't usually like to do because when I haven't seen the movie, I normally like to go into it with no expectation and no thoughts on it. Unfortunately, I have heard some negative things about the movie, and they haven't given it away per se. So I will just go into the good things about the movie. So switch me off from the negative things that I've heard. What is good about the movie? What is good about the acting? Is it beautifully shot? Is the music gripping? Is it a thriller? And the trailer kind of pushes it towards being a thriller. So tell me.
I think the best part about this movie is, this movie has a lot of symbolism and metaphors, but if you were to take that out and just base it on what you're watching and what the movie's presenting instead of its meaning, is you actually get, as these visitors are coming into the house, you start feeling uncomfortable. Because
That's true.
It is, and I think that's a good point about the movie, because it is kind of a thriller, and a thriller shouldn't make you feel happy. And so I think in that way, it made you feel like physically almost what it wanted to. So Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem, the two main characters who own the house, she's remodeling, and it's kind of a cozy, and they're very secluded. And then and then one man comes and visits them. They don't know him, and they get to know him, and eventually his wife comes, and then the house just gets
it's so secluded. Why? How did he just come out of nowhere?
Just come out of nowhere.
Well, basically. And then eventually...
How would you let just a stranger in your house like that?
So
He said his car broke
Listen,
down
if
or
you're going
something.
to ask logical questions like that,
It's not a movie where
we're not going to get anywhere with this movie.
So then Javier Bardem is like welcoming of these people, and Jennifer Lawrence, the reason why I call them by their actor's name is because they don't really have character names.
Right.
And Jennifer Lawrence is, she's like, why are you letting all these people in the house? You don't know them. And then just as more and more people come, and it's really elongated, it's like, it makes you feel uncomfortable because she's like, why are you letting strangers into the house? And Javier Bardem is just
she's
like...
kind of like how I am, right?
And she's just so uncomfortable. And then they start like, they're acting as if, like, they're putting their feet up, they're like doing things to the house, they're acting as if this is their house. They start inviting their friends as if they're the hosts. And then it's just like, like, as an audience member, it's like, I don't like this. Like, I'm picturing if this would happen in my, like, at my house, I would be like freaking out. And you can see that from Jennifer Lawrence's perspective.
And does she do a good job at portraying?
I think most times she has like a one-note expression.
She has one face.
Because
I think it's purposeful.
I think it's purposeful because she's supposed to be really innocent. Again, the age difference. She's the more innocent, youth-like. But and she so it's from that to concern about her house and like visitors. Well, to Javier Bardem, they're visitors, and to her, they're more intruders. And so I think the positive would be that feeling of like uncomfortableness and like, why are all these people here?
Okay.
Yeah. My positive, number one, absolutely. I felt anxiety when she was feeling anxiety, and I think that is, to the credit of the filmmaker. As well, I do think it is a very well made movie. I think it looks very good. It's well directed. It's well acted. I quite like Javier Bardem in this, and I think Jennifer Lawrence. This is a performance where I've been a little bit off on her for the last little bit, just because I think she's been doing a lot of these bigger movies that she's not as interested in, or at least that's the impression that I get when I watch her acting. I think she was really going for it here, and so I like the acting. I like the way it looks. I like the way it's put together. And that's all. I
think what you're saying about Jennifer Lawrence is like how she looks disinterested in a lot of the movies that she's been doing recently. And she's kind of getting back to doing more stuff like... She broke out in Winter's Bone, which is like a smaller...
Oh, yeah.
Which is like a smaller movie where that's where first people saw her.
And even the early blockbusters.
Yeah, but then she started doing all these blockbusters. I feel like Elizabeth Olsen's kind of coming and stealing her corner. Basically, like, I'm the new hot young it thing that's going to be in all these really well-made movies.
She's not as charismatic, though.
I think Elizabeth Olsen's way more charismatic than
Jennifer Lawrence. Have you seen her in Ingrid Goes West?
No, I mean, not in movies. I mean, her real-life presence isn't as like charismatic as Jennifer Lawrence is.
I think Jennifer Lawrence's thing is very tailored. I think she's very like Taylor Swift in that way.
Really?
I think it's
I disagree, but
I think it's very
neither here nor there.
Neither here nor there. But yeah, I thought that the acting was good. There's an interesting character thing with one of the characters that I really enjoyed. But I mean, we'll get into it later when I get to the spoiler talk. I guess it's Javier Bardem, but we'll get more into the reason why I found it interesting. But yeah, it's well made. It looks good. Their sound design is pretty good.
Oh, sound design is pretty good. Yeah,
it's well directed. Like, it's a competent film. Everything. Like, if it's a student film, if I watch that, I'd be like, this guy can make movies. Like, this is a good movie.
Yeah.
The guy who made this can make a good movie, and that's the best thing I can say about it, to be honest.
All right, and lastly, Yash.
All right, I love all the horror aspects of this movie. This is Aronofsky. He said in an interview before that he's returning to the horror genre. First was Black Swan, which was, in my opinion, also like a very...
I wouldn't say that was a horror.
I think so. It's a very scary movie.
It's got horror aspects. Certainly more so than this film.
No, I legit think it's a horror movie. But anyways, in that aspect, I just... Some of the scenes in this movie just had me clenching my armrest. Aronofsky is really good at kind of like gauging what people might be thinking about while watching this movie, and you get a sense of that. Every little uncomfortable moment in this film, you see that it's crafted, and people get uncomfortable when they see like a bunch of these uncomfortable moments, and they see that it keeps going and there's no end to it. And I think that's why people... That's the number one reason why there were so many walkouts in this movie. It's just, this is an uncomfortable movie. And I kind of like that about it. I
think you're wrong about that, but whatever.
Prior to the spoiler getting into it.
Yes.
Michelle Pfeiffer and Ed Harris.
Yes.
They're the first two visitors.
How are are they well integrated into the movie themselves? Because I do like Ed Harris. He has brought me back into his corner after seeing Westworld. I loved him in Westworld. And Michelle Pfeiffer, I mean, I used to love her when I was younger, and then she just went away. I don't know where the hell she went. And then now she's back. So is this her back? Or is this just like, kind of like...
They're not a huge part of the movie, but I will say that...
They're a good part of it.
I will say that in... Ed Harris, to me, was take it or leave it. He could have been any old guy. It could have been anything. Yeah. But I feel like Michelle Pfeiffer did bring something to it where, like, every scene she's in, I'm like... She comes in, I just feel like she's the bitch that comes in and steals the movie. Like, that's what she's doing for every scene she's in.
She has these lines that really bite.
Yeah, like, I feel like she gave you this bit of, like...
microaggression, just...
Yeah. She's like Emily Blunt or, like, in Devil Wears Prada. She's just out there just, like, saying mean stuff, and you're like, oh, that's mean. Like, why are you saying that?
No, but at some point she's very passive aggressive.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a line where, like I said, Jennifer Lawrence doesn't want them there, but Javier Bardem does, and they do something, and Jennifer Lawrence is like, "You guys need to leave," and Michelle Pfeiffer says, "Are you the one who wants us to leave, or is he?" And shuts the door on her face. Because she's like, I don't care that you don't want me here. Like, your husband does. I'm going to stay here no matter. Even if it's partly your house, I don't care that you don't want me here.
Right. Yeah, she's pretty saucy.
Yeah.
There's some good stuff.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think Michelle Pfeiffer was my favorite part of the movie. Other than that feeling of uncomfortableness, I think she was the best performance.
She was a fun performance. I don't know if she was the best one. I just think she was fun because everyone else was so muted to me.
Right.
In weird ways, but yeah.
Now, going on to Yash's point, this is my last thing before we go into the spoilers. That uncomfortable feeling for a long period of time. Is it uncomfortable to the point where, because that walkouts, that's huge.
So many.
So, is it uncomfortable to the point where it's like, like seriously, what is this? Like, this is really bothering me now.
Well, here's what I hate about this film.
I can't get into this without talking about reasons.
No, I want to get into it without spoilers, just to sort of establish why I don't like it. The whole movie's a metaphor, as we know, and we'll get into what the metaphor is. But I was very excited for this movie because I like Aronofsky's stuff. I love Black Swan. I like The Fountain. I like
The Wrestler.
I haven't seen The Wrestler.
The Wrestler's his best.
My understanding is I'll really enjoy it.
I think The Wrestler is his best film.
What's the one about addiction?
Requiem.
Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, wow,
great movie. On.
I think Wrestler's better than Requiem for a Dream, but that's just me.
Like, this is like, I was very excited for this because Aronofsky does this thing where he does very meaningful movies while also telling a story. This movie scraps that second part. This is pure metaphor. Things only happen in this movie or at certain times to serve the metaphor because it happens in the metaphor, so it happens in this film. And that's why, like you say, well, why are people coming out of nowhere? Because it doesn't matter. Because the plot side of this movie just does not matter at all. Things are just happening because it fits the metaphor. People are coming out of nowhere.
And when you speak to the walkouts, I remember before I went and saw it, I had heard one of my favorite film critics said that there's a point where he almost wanted to walk out of the movie, but he didn't because he knew that's what the movie wanted him to do. And I was like, what could that point be? What would the point of the movie be at? And as I was watching it, I pinpointed it where I'm like, oh, this is where. And it wasn't because anything was obscene or like freaking me out or made me feel super anxious or anything. The anxiety that I was feeling was like, is anything going to happen? Like, why am I sitting here watching this? Like, is there going to be a point? 'Cause I get it. I got to a point where I understood the metaphor. I understood what was happening. And I was like, is there a point?
Yeah. I think the problem is it doesn't give you too much more than that metaphor. Like, the metaphor's there, and you say, okay.
You guys keep talking about metaphor.
Like, the movie is a metaphor.
No, you can watch this movie purely from...
If you peel away the metaphor, this movie doesn't make a lick of sense. It's just a bunch of people coming out of nowhere into the house. there's no plot
unless
you follow the metaphor.
And once you figure out,
I didn't follow the metaphor. I followed the plot of the artist of Javier Bardem's character, just like struggling, and once he gets famed. Sorry, you wanted to say something.
Okay, but speaking to that, at that point, if you don't follow the movie because of the metaphor, you'll like that old lady at the theater that I was watching it, who in the middle of the movie goes, "What's going on?" She yelled that in the middle of the movie, and everyone agreed with her, and then I'm just in the back, like, I get it, I don't, like...
see the metaphor.
Yeah, is that, like, I got the metaphor because somebody spoiled the beginning.
I'll be honest,
of it.
I didn't get the metaphors right away, like...
No,
I didn't either.
Somebody had told me what it was about. But I'm saying, if you don't follow the plot because of the metaphor, this is just an acid trip. Like, nothing makes sense. Like, I know this is not the real world.
There's no context for certain things happening in this movie within
the
the basic plot of the artist and his wife in a house.
Which is why it's interesting in a small way, because of the fact, like, I think you took longer to figure out the metaphor than I did.
I took much longer than you did.
I figured out the metaphor within the first 30 minutes. Mariana kind of had the metaphor... Yeah, Yash figured it out after. Mariana kind of had it spoiled, so she kind of knew what was going on with it. And like Michael is saying that he had a different interpretation of the movie as of not completely knowing.
I was reading the themes of it,
yes,
and I didn't see that it was a very specific metaphor with those themes.
But I feel like once you know the metaphor, it might be even worse, because once you know the metaphor, there's nothing else happening. The movie is just the metaphor.
Now,
so once I figured out the metaphor, I was like, okay, then what am I doing here?
Now, question before we get into the spoilers, guys. And make it quick, please. So, Yash found out the metaphor after.
Yes.
Mariana got it spoiled, so she's out of this. You got it 30 minutes in, you got it an hour in. So, for those people, like the old lady that you watched it with, that are like, what is this about? Our fans that are listening to this.
Yes.
Will it make them feel stupid if they don't get the metaphor? And is it easy to get the metaphor?
I don't think you should feel stupid.
Right.
Like, I think you can still get something from the film. I just don't think it's saying anything new in a way. I think part of the problem is
a huge leap.
Yeah.
I think you can.
I don't hate this movie. I use the word hate.
You saw.
I don't hate this movie.
You can appreciate it.
It's just kind of there. If
you enjoy film.
I think Aronofsky said very similar things in his previous movies, much better, in a way that is captivating for an audience. I think the problem here is there's nothing that captivated me in a way that makes me want to go to the next scene,
Yes.
What's it again? I keep forgetting. Requiem for a Dream? Not a fun movie to watch. Right. It's not happy, but I keep watching it because I'm captivated by it. There's something in there worth feeding on, I guess.
You're talking about Yash too, where you're talking about how you were viewing it through this artist's eyes and the achieving fame and the artistry. I feel like you get that story told in a better way in The Wrestler. The Wrestler is the same movie in that sense. The Wrestler is about a guy who used to be a famous wrestler. Now he's down on his luck. He's wrestling in little bingo halls and still trying to catch that fame again. He wants to get back to fame. And at a certain point, he's about to give it up because he's found this woman that he kind of fell in love with. He reconnects with his daughter. But at the end of the day, the fame is too strong and it pulls him back in. And eventually he's going to kill him because he needs to have the crowd. He needs to be famous. That's told through a story. There's a story there. There's a whole emotional connection. This is just nothing.
All right, let me tell you. Let me tell you why this is nothing, though. This movie also tells you the fan aspect of the movie. Like you watch this movie. Okay, you have the writer, but you're also experiencing it through like the fans' eyes, where they feel like they have a personal attachment.
I see what you're saying. Yes,
and that's never been shown before. Like the line between the creator and like the people that
specifically
he influences.
To me, that's specifically the metaphor. That's specifically
the metaphor. That's not metaphor. That's smack dab right in your face. It's the movie.
That element is specifically the metaphor of the film.
Okay, so for our fans here, we're going to go into spoilers now. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, please come out.
It's all dream.
Okay.
Mariana, go ahead.
So I'll specify as to what was spoiled for me is that all I knew was that Ed Harris was Adam and Michelle Pfeiffer was Eve. So the moment I knew that, every new character that showed up was just another Bible reference. Their two sons show up. oh, that's Cain and Abel. Right. They go through the exact same story. Cain, the older brother, is jealous of his younger brother getting more attention from his parents, kills him, gets the mark of Cain on his forehead. And then they leave, and then she's pregnant. That's the New Testament.
Oh wait, you're skipping.
I'm skipping a lot.
A bunch of people come into the house. They're being unruly. They're destroying everything. There's a great flood that gets everyone to leave.
That was after.
No, that was during the funeral
for. Yeah.
Then she gets pregnant, and she's gonna have this baby, which is baby Jesus. Because
once again, we're skipping ahead of ourselves, Andy. The fact is, basically, what this is, it is the story of the Bible in a house where Javier Bardem is God. Jennifer Lawrence is Mother Nature, and the house is Earth.
You don't have to.
No, but that's what it is. That's what the movie is.
I don't think so.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely what the movie is.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
100% what it is.
Because
okay, I think this movie can be a metaphor if you don't want it to.
Okay, I usually don't do this, but because directors can come out and say this is what the movie's about, and I don't have to think that. But I think this is 100% the case of this movie. I've seen interviews with Darren Aronofsky where he said, I decided to show the story of human beings and how we're destroying the earth through the story of the Bible. And I'm saying the movie has nothing more to say than that. I got nothing else.
He could be lying. He lied
no,
the trailers.
But I'm saying... I don't need him to say anything. I saw it. I was watching it in the movie.
But I'm saying...
It's all there.
I'm saying the movie says nothing...
I'm not saying the metaphors aren't there.
No, but that's all the movie is.
No, I don't think...
But the thing is, like, I usually don't care what the author or director has to say. I can make my own meaning. But I'm saying the movie doesn't make its own meaning other than that. Is that's all it is. He decided, he's like, okay, the best way to say how we're destroying Mother Earth is through the story that everyone knows, which is the Bible story, Adam and Eve show up, blah, blah. And then,
So if it is Adam and Eve, though, why are they not first?
They're first.
No.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Adam comes first. He's the first guest.
And Harris.
And
oh, because the Earth is the house.
Earth is the house.
Right.
And then Mother Nature is
the way it sets up at the beginning is God is having writer's block. He's author. He's an artist. He doesn't know what to create next. Basically,
I get it now.
He doesn't know what to create next. And then she, Mother Nature, is helping to fix the house. So she's painting it, she's making it look the way she wants to do. Kind of like how Mother Nature shapes the earth, the mountains and the meadows and trees, and she's putting everything...
For humans.
Yes. No, not for you. Just to make the earth a viable thing that can exist on its own. Right? And then people start coming. And she immediately sees the presence of the people being like, this is a danger to the house. Yeah. This is going to mess up everything that we are building.
Yeah.
Because they exist outside of our influence. They're just doing things. But God, being the beloved being, he created these people. And he's like, but I like having the people around. They worship me. They think I'm great. They all they all pray to me and think that I have control over them. And
that's the artist's vanity.
Yes, but it's also God. This is God. That's interesting.
No, it's absolutely about the artist as well.
So
it's shown very directly through the story of the Bible.
There's no story, but that's the.
Yeah, that's
the problem is there's no beginning, middle, and end for this story of an artist and his wife in the house. Because
and again, that part to me is meaningless because it's not. None of it is actually happening to me. It's all
yeah, exactly.
Because there's things about it that are happening that are too fantastical to be real. If it was just a story about an artist and his wife, I could be like, okay, I can buy that. But there's a point where he gives her something to read, and she reads it and she goes, "Oh my God, it's beautiful." It's like, yes, the publisher's sending it out tomorrow. And she's like, wait, how could you have somebody publish it tomorrow? That doesn't make sense. And there's no sense of time within the movie. Like, I don't even know.
It's very dreamlike.
And it's like, what is happening? Either it's a dream or none of it is happening. It's not real.
And that's why
I didn't care.
And that's why this movie, it's done in two parts. That second half where shit just hits the fan, and he just drops everything, and he forces you. He makes a fucking crazy movie, and he forces you to watch it from his perspective, and that's what I love about the movie. He doesn't care about conventions. He just drops everything, and he just does something that's just straight feeling, and I love that.
But when that happens, that is the metaphor.
Okay, so like I said before the spoilers, is that I enjoyed that feeling of uncomfortableness, And that's the only thing I got outside of the movie other than the metaphor. And that was the first half, just before the funeral happens. But right after that funeral moment, and when it became the New Testament, it became nothing but metaphors. Like, he threw everything in the everything at once.
No, here's what we're saying, Yash. Because at a certain point, it's talking about how war and overpopulation and all this stuff is consuming the planet, and the house is just full of people fighting.
There's a point where they're all just painting it.
They're creating religions. They're worshiping Javier Bardem, and then they start worshiping the people who directly have touched Javier Bardem. It's cool in a sense. The problem is because there's people shooting each other, and there's people ripping the house apart. All this stuff, metaphor for Earth. The problem is, contextually, how does that fit into the story of the artist and his wife? That stuff only makes sense in the context of this is a metaphor for Earth.
Yeah.
If you take that out, if you're stripping away the metaphor and you're saying, okay, it's also a story about an artist and his wife.
And fame and how
where are these people coming from? What is all this stuff happening?
I don't want to get lost in trying to
parse the metaphor.
Yeah.
And figure out which one is not a metaphor and which is not a metaphor.
It's not a metaphor. It's clearly just people.
Okay, yeah. I don't care about that anymore. So
you don't care about the movie?
No. I don't care about whether it's a metaphor or not a metaphor.
Okay.
Now I just want to know, now that we've got into the spoiler, did it work? Did it not work? Was it good? Was it enjoyable? I hear that you like it, so you go on first. Why did you like it?
I didn't. Okay, the gut feeling from this movie is gross. I didn't enjoy the feeling, but I'm so glad I saw it because it's just something out of the left field. I didn't expect it. I love seeing new things on cinema on the screen. I just love it, and that's why this movie is so great. It's never seen anything like this before.
And for me, it wasn't new because I understood the metaphor very early on, and everything that was happening was exactly like the thing that it's relating to. So I'm like, okay, is there going to be a point where it has a point of view or where the perspective shifts or what's going to happen, and everything just plays out how it's supposed to, how you would imagine it would play out. It's God creates the people, they destroy the earth. Mother Earth is worried about it. It's killing her, it's hurting her to have them destroy the earth. But Javier Bardem, as God, is like, yeah, but we have to protect the people because they're people. And
but
I created them. I feel a sense of ownership over them, and I also love the way that they love me, and I need them to be around because it gives me a purpose. So I don't really give a shit about what's happening to you, Mother Earth. And she's like, no, but they're destroying the thing that we created. And this is the larger thing. It's more important. It's bigger. It's more important than any individual of these people.
Without the Earth,
exactly. This is their home. But I think it's
and it never takes a perspective that is
It's
different.
a good time to go into my favorite part of the movie, and I've discussed this with Matt. Yes. He also enjoys it. They did something interesting with the God character, which is they made God an almost antagonistic force, where he was almost exactly. He's almost denying Mother Earth. Mother Earth is pointing all this out to him, and he says, "But they love me. We have to forgive them for all these things they do." And she's almost the level-headed one, saying, we can't let them do this to our house. They're tearing it apart.
See, that's all the more reason not to view this as a God character.
No, I think it's absolutely.
I'm gonna keep talking about
I think
because you guys still
it is 100% the Bible in a house. It's like not even a question about it. There's other things, but what it is the Bible in a house.
I see it that way. So to me, you guys still haven't wrapped your head around what?
I don't think you wrapped your head around.
No, I can see your point of view. I don't think you guys can.
I think you're 100% wrong. Not for liking it. You can like it because once again, there are things in this movie. I think they're doing interesting things, but it is the Bible in a house. Which is a concept on paper I like. I think they didn't pull it off.
I agree with Michael in the sense that the whole Javier Bardem is an egotistical kind of God.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I found that very fascinating. As a God that didn't create humanity, he created humanity out of a point of vanity for himself. I wanted to create something in my image that will worship and love me regardless of what I do, and interpret everything that I do as great, and they'll all come to me for answers. And no matter what they do, no matter how badly they hurt the earth, which is the thing that I created first, and the thing that I created with this Mother nature character.
Because it's not a thing.
But it's not a thing that it can't worship it. I can't feel it.
Worship it.
But the only person that can feel Earth is the Mother Earth because she's it.
She's a part of it.
Basically. And basically it also implies that he created her as well, basically.
Yeah, and also you have this sort of thing where whenever she sort of touches the house and gets close to it, you see that their sort of heartbeats are in sync, like her and him.
So
she
basically,
and it are one, basically.
So basically it's kind of the story about how God is favoring one of his creations over the other.
Yeah.
He created Jennifer Lawrence, but he also created all those people. And he loves, but the fact that there's a point in the movie where she says her love is never going to be enough because he needs all the other people to love him that he created. He created it for that reason. And I enjoy that interpretation of God. It's interesting.
Okay, so in order to get away from metaphor, not metaphor, or plot, I wanted to bring up this one instance where it's near the end of the movie. I won't say and that's when shit hits the fan. And she's walking through the house, and this is the course of 5 minutes in real time as you're watching the movie, and probably 5 minutes in the story. She's walking from one room, people are killing each other. She walks to the other room, it's like a concentration camp. She walks to the other one, it's a refugee. And it's like her house is evolving as she's walking through it, and it's just being destroyed. And what that reminded me of, which is completely different tone and not at all the same story, is there's this episode of Community where they have a pillow fort versus blanket war fight. And that's it. They start fighting with pillows. It's like war, and then they walk through the pillow fort, and there's a refugee camp from the hurt people. And this all happens 5 minutes in the show as the characters are living it, and 5 minutes for us. And why that worked is because that was played for humor. And Community, they do ridiculous things like the paintball fight, and especially the pillow fort versus blanket fort. I forgot the actual names. But
I think it's called Pillows and Blankets is the episode title.
But yeah, that's played for comedy, and they set up how ridiculous this is, and you expect that. But in this movie, it's it's played so seriously, and it's played as if this is this super smart thing, and it's no, this is the basic of it. Once you know that story, and once you know it, it's just this is ridiculous. It's not fun to watch. It's not played for comedy. I'm not scared either because I'm these aren't characters. These are just metaphors. No one's really well developed except Javier Bardem.
There's no
stakes. There's no comedy.
One thing I like about that scene, they have a couple people that try to help her. It's a nice little break where everyone is awful in most of the movie.
Environmentalists?
No, there was a doctor that tries to help her. A doctor sees that she's pregnant and look, I need to help you. And there's also a soldier that tries to help her. So I like those little moments.
A baby.
Jesus.
Because
Jesus.
Mother Earth created Jesus.
That's it's kind of mixing metaphors at that point. She becomes kind of Mary as well. She has a baby, and she's trying to protect it from the people that all want to have it because it's God's child. And then eventually one time she falls asleep and he takes the child away from her, shows it to all the people, and they all take it and they rip it apart, basically. And then the next scene, they're all eating it, which is basically they're all eating the blood of Christ. Which I don't understand how you can...
Wait, leave it alone!
I'm not saying it can't.
All right, so final thoughts.
No. I'm not saying it can be a metaphor. I'm saying it could be something else.
No, how does eating the baby work with your
final thoughts.
I haven't thought about that yet.
My final thoughts. My
final thoughts are... Here's why you should see this movie, Andrew. This is a major studio back movie with Jennifer Lawrence, Javier Bardem, a Bond villain. This is a crazy fucking movie.
I don't like Javier Bardem, and I don't
really.
He's the best part of this movie,
and I don't like Jennifer Lawrence. So
that's fascinating.
But my final thoughts are: I really want to see it.
I had a feeling you might.
I really want to see it.
I had a feeling you might.
And the reason why I really want to see it. The reason why I really want to see it is because it actually does sound like a good a good movie. Yeah. And you know what? I think it would have came over better with a lot of people if they knew that from the time they went in.
It's possible.
Let me ask Mariana. It was spoiled for you, so you kind of knew what it was. Do you feel that helped the story?
No, in a way, yeah, because I wasn't confused throughout the movie.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, these are the characters, and I got, every time somebody new showed up,
it's a simple story.
No, But at the same time, I think that ruined it because there's so many more art house movies that, okay, I won't say what the twist is, but for example, there's an art house movie called Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal, and then once somebody tells you or once you figure out what the spiders are metaphor for, there's still a lot more to the movie.
No, it's still a good
there's
film.
Still other interpretations. There's still really cool aspects about this double life that he's living. But I'm saying is that once somebody tells you the metaphor, or once you decide that's its meaning, the movie has nothing more to say.
Exactly.
Right.
It helps and it hurts. Yeah. Because it helps me understand the movie when I'm watching it. But at that point now I understand the movie too much to the point where anything that's happening, I'm like, I know where this is going. I get it.
And the movie has nothing more to say other than this is the story of the Bible and we're destroying Earth. Like, you might get more interpretations from that, but the bottom line is, yeah, we're destroying the house. What is the house representing? It's this. And it's like...
I almost felt as if I was watching the movie that like Darren Aronofsky was next to me, elbowing me in the ribs every few minutes, and be like, hey, you get it? You get it? I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Now, I just want, as my final thought, I want to stand up for Darren Aronofsky because I think he's a brilliant director. And I think the ideas in this are good. I think it's the way it was pulled off that didn't work.
And I think that's why I like it. Yeah. The ideas sound great.
Yeah.
Maybe when I watch it, I'm going to be like, nah, it didn't.
You're not going to like it.
It didn't come together. But I will say, I will see it on Tuesday with like no expectation. I will try my best. To just go in and say, just take it in, Andrew. Take it.
That's what you're supposed to do, and that's.
I like that he saw the movie he wanted to make, and he sat down and he just did it without fear of like, oh, no one's ever gonna produce this movie.
That's why I love it.
But
I don't respect it because they marketed it as something else.
That's the problem.
They marketed it as something else.
I was watching this movie looking for something to grasp onto. It didn't happen.
No, but
watch it again.
The thing that I grasped onto was that feeling of if you were to watch this as a home invasion, it's like it makes you anxious. It makes the character Jennifer Lawrence anxious. That's the positive for me. But then at one point, it just turns to ridiculousness where you're no longer anxious because it's too much and it's like
chaos.
It's just chaos.
It might almost even work if it was like some kind of dark comedy, maybe. If they at least played into the fact that it's ridiculous. But I feel like it takes itself a little bit too seriously.
Which is why the episode of Community worked.
Exactly. So, I mean, there it is. Andy said he's interested. He's probably going to go check it out at some point, and I can't wait till he sees it so we can all yell at Yash. Okay. I'm Matt.
I'm Yash.
Andrew.
Mariana.
I'm still Michael.
And that was our review of Mother. Thanks for joining us on the Grapevine, and we'll see you all next time.